What is up, ladies and gentlemen? But most of all, you ladies out there, thanks for clicking on another episode of Break the Silence. I am your host, Cyborg. Tatum says he had a broke wrist in the finals. We discuss next. Split cow! Let's talk a little hoops. Why don't we? Jayson Tatum of the Boston Celtics, my Boston Celtics, came out yesterday in an interview with Taylor Rooks, I believe, and said that in the NBA Finals and throughout the playoff run, he had a fracture in his wrist. This is something we're going to talk about because it's something we see very often in sports. It is also something that I predicted. Kind of. I'll talk about that in a second. Please take a second to like and subscribe to the channel. You see how fast we're growing. We're up past 300 subs. We're headed for foe. We're headed for foe 100. And we're going to get there. I appreciate all the support. But let's talk about this. When that finals ended, if you watch my reaction to that, I said that I guarantee, and I said I would bet all my money on Jayson Tatum coming out and saying that he needed surgery. Now, I thought it was going to be about the shoulder specifically, but anytime we see athletes underperform or not live up to expectations or get heavily criticized for their performance, they have a go-to. And it's saying that they were hurt or saying that they were dealing with some injury that they were playing through. Now, on this channel, you might, part of the reason that I started this is because so often in sports, everything we say is to push our agenda. Not really the sports media. When I watch a lot of it, anytime I'm listening to Undisputed, if there's a LeBron topic, Skip Bayless is going to find a way to use that against LeBron. And Shannon's going to use it to benefit LeBron almost every time. And to me, that drives me nuts. So when we're talking about being objective and we're talking about holding everyone to a standard, and when they deserve praise, we praise them. When they deserve criticism, we criticize them. Jayson Tatum is my favorite NBA player. I'm a Celtics fan. He's really fun to watch. He's been really great to watch grow up, and he's really improved. I think he's a top 10 player in the NBA. And so I'm a huge Jayson Tatum fan. But to me, to be objective, we have to criticize Jayson Tatum at times. And we have to criticize all players. And we have to praise them when they're doing good, even if you dislike the guy. So let's talk about Jayson Tatum. I thought that ever since at some point in the Bucks series, he looked like he got a little off. And he still performed at times. So it was kind of tough to read, but he kept holding his shoulder in the finals and kind of felt like maybe there was something there. And I knew that if the Celtics lost, something would come out that he was injured. And that's exactly what happened. And this is what we see so often in sports. You see it in the UFC like crazy. Every time someone loses, or boxing, UFC and boxing. Every time someone loses, they come out and say, yeah, I've been dealing with this injury all camp. Someone loses in the finals. LeBron wore a cast saying he broke his hand a couple years ago. Maybe he did. Again, maybe Jayson Tatum really does have a small fracture on his hand. But to me, Jayson Tatum scored 46 against Giannis in Game 6. That was after Jayson Tatum said that this injury happened. So I hear so many Celtics fans coming out and saying, see, Jayson Tatum was playing through injury. Shows he's a tough guy. Shows his passion. Shows all these things. And yes, it does. But to me, it does not give Tatum the excuse that he was playing hurt. That's why he played poorly. Because I saw him play good with the injury. And here's my thing. I don't think Jayson Tatum should be heavily criticized for the finals. You're talking about a 24-year-old who led his team to the NBA Finals and took them 6 games. He was right on the cusp of winning an NBA championship. When you look at so many greats in the past, if you remember Larry Bird had multiple games in the finals where he had less than 10 points in one series. I think it was in 81. Magic Johnson was known as Tragic Johnson. Kobe Bryant had playoff series where he had multiple air balls and multiple failures. Michael Jordan couldn't get past the Pistons. Couldn't even win a game before one game, I think, before Scottie Pippen got there. LeBron James was considered the frozen one against the Mavericks. All I'm pointing out is that a bad series or underperforming in a big moment doesn't define your career. It is how you respond to that failure that will define your career. When we're talking about Jayson Tatum, what I want to see is him get back in the lab. And we've seen him working a lot this offseason with Kevin Durant. And he just played in that Jamal Crawford league. Jayson Tatum, I want to see you get back in the lab, and I want to see you come back with a purpose next year, saying that what happened to me in the finals last year will never happen again. That's what I want to see from Jayson Tatum. I don't want to criticize him for having a bad final series because he led his team to the finals and he was phenomenal. He went toe-to-toe with Giannis Antetokounmpo in Game 6 in the second round. One of the most impressive games, to me, the most impressive game of his entire career. And that's why I just don't like Tatum coming out and saying, I was dealing with this injury. Because to me, and if you listen to his whole quote, he said, I was dealing with this, I would wear a cast, and then when I would go in the media, I'd take the cast off so that no one knew I was dealing with it. Then why'd you bring it up, man? Then why'd you bring it up, Jason? Like, it just frustrates me a little bit. Because, again, you played so well. You played poorly in the finals. Accept that. And that's good enough for a 24-year-old. Come back and let's win it. Let's compete for a title next year. Compete with Giannis again. Push yourself into those top 5 conversations because you have the ability to do so. You played excellent against Kevin Durant. You played excellent against Giannis. You played pretty good against the Heat, and then you struggled against the Warriors. No shame in that. But when you come out and make excuses for your performance, it just drives me nuts. All these Celtics fans that are coming out and saying, "Look, like they're proving a point that Tatum was playing injured." It doesn't make up for his performance, but I don't think he needs to. That's my overall point. I'm a huge Jayson Tatum fan, but we're gonna evaluate every player objectively. We're going to talk about all these players and their positives and their negatives because I think that's what the media misses most of all. Because everyone has their players that they love, players that they support, and they talk about them differently than the players that they don't like. And I don't like the way that the media does that. So the thing we're going to do here on Break the Silence is we're going to evaluate every player objectively, regardless if they're my favorite player or they're my least favorite player. I'm going to give credit. I gave credit to Draymond Green for his last couple games in the NBA Finals. Not a Draymond Green fan. I criticize Jayson Tatum when he struggles. Huge Jayson Tatum fan. That's what we're going to do here. Appreciate y'all watching. More ahead. Cyborg out.